Yo, what's up, guys? Good morning, good morning. Yo, yo, yo. Happy Sunday, happy Sunday. Um, yeah. No Witcher 3 today, man. No Witcher 3 today. Um, we'll do the news and then we will hop into maybe Gwent, maybe Fall Guys, maybe both. I don't know. I don't know. Kind of feeling like trying out Fall Guys and then maybe just doing a full weekend of Gwent next weekend. That might be the play. I don't know. We'll see how we feel after we get finished with news, okay? But it's good to see you guys. It's good to be here. Thanks for being here. Let's go ahead and get over here and start getting into this news segment, all right? Let's do it. Cool. Yeah. Okay, here's one of the first articles we've seen about PS Plus Extra losing a game. Let's take a look at that. UK government is demanding games industry does more to fight loot boxes. Yep. Cool. This of the past what month? Yeah. Okay. It's I think we kind of hit on it yesterday. Our buddy Tinwin dropped us a bit of news, and I think we had kind of glanced it previously that Elden Ring is like one of the top 10 all-time selling games already. It's not really a surprise. Um, that's very quick, like less than what half a year, about 5 months almost for it to hit that. As much as it was anticipated and as popular as the Soulborn games are, I'm not really surprised. We'll see if we can find it or get the link that Tinwin threw us yesterday and take a bit of a peek. I'll try not to dive too much into my ranting about my Elden Ring experience while we talk about that. I will try my best. I know you've heard it enough. Tesla is getting closer to integrating Steam to take its gaming to a whole new level. In-car gaming platform. Okay. Read about that yesterday. Have that up. An Elden Ring mod marathon is taking place over the next week. That's kind of cool. Soulframe is a new fantasy MMORPG from the Warframe devs. Cool. Read about Bungie and Sony making the that acquisition official yesterday. Cool. Steam Deck's funky controls prove gamepads, ellipses. We'll take a look. Yeah, we've talked about it. We've talked about the Mega Drive Mini 2. Oh, new Mega Drive Mini 2 games. So Sega's revealing some of the games that are going to be on it. Okay, let's take a look. Page 2. This is just the same thing that we're going to already be hitting on regarding the UK taking a stance about loot boxes and stuff. There are a lot of countries starting to ban that kind of implementation in video games. Read about that. I started trying to watch that again last night as I was falling asleep and just crashed, dude. So I'll get some more. I will get some time spent watching this and let you guys know what I think about it. The new RE series on Netflix. CD Projekt stock is worth a quarter of what it was before. We already have something up about Soulframe, so I'm not going to dive into. I mean, we will be diving into it. We just have another article up already. We've already talked a lot about of the past few days, Unity merging with Iron Source, all the backlash, criticism they've gotten, especially after their CEO, Old Richard, came out and was calling any dev that isn't basically taking the same stance as them as quote effing idiots. Yeah. If you want to get some more on that, look at the previous couple of news segments and you'll find those in there regarding Unity. Updated Steam feature making it easier to find new games. Cool. Microsoft's Activision acquisition approval may hit major. We'll see what that's about. Yeah, Elden Ring is the best-selling game of 2022. Yeah, we know. That's not a surprise. We read about this yesterday. Square Enix is actually starting up this platform for bringing in streamers, content creators, um, to help them test and design their games. Basically, testing their games, providing input on what they feel is done well and not done well, and needs to be changed, that kind of thing. We'll see how that goes for them. Gamers lose round with Sony over PlayStation Store monopolistic control over digital game downloads. Okay. Xbox executive teases new Xbox Series E exclusives. See what that's about? PS Plus leak reveals next big PS1 game. Got some news this morning. Usually it's Sunday that's like the down day, and yesterday was actually kind of bleak as far as the news goes. PlayStation exclusive wins first 2022 Game of the Year award. Okay. New Nintendo Switch game may be its most not safe for work yet. Dude, we got a lot of news already. Crazy. See if we got anything else on this pivot into our other search here. Mm-hmm. 2 days until Stray releases. Very cool. That game looks awesome. We've seen a lot of this already. That's why I'm not pulling any of these up. Or we've talked about them a lot. Yeah. I love this. Talked about that. Power Wash Simulator devs warn Xbox players, what is this? Do not look at the sun? What? Okay. Okay, let's stick with what we have here. Let's see what we have. Tesla is getting closer to integrating Steam to take its gaming platform to a whole new level. Elon Musk says that Tesla is getting closer to integrating Valve Steam to take its in-car gaming platform to a whole new level. We know that Tesla has been investing heavily into integrating video games into its in-car entertainment system, but it still surprised many when Tesla said earlier this year that it planned to go as far as integrating Valve Steam, an online video game store and distribution platform, in its vehicles. It would result in a massive increase in games playable inside Tesla vehicles. This week, CEO Elon Musk said that Tesla is getting closer to achieving the Steam integration, and the automaker is aiming for a demonstration next month. Demonstration is likely going to involve some computing demanding video games to show the gaming capacity inside Tesla vehicles. Tesla is going into the video gaming business. As we previously reported, Tesla has a team of software engineers working on video games in Seattle, and they recently started building a similar team in Austin. The automaker has been building a video game platform called Tesla Arcade inside its vehicles, and it has been working with video game studios to port games to it. Right now, it is mainly to create some added value to its own ownership experience, but Tesla might have bigger plans for gaming inside its vehicles. Tesla CEO Elon Musk has been indicating recently that he believes entertainment will be critical when cars drive themselves, which he thinks Tesla can achieve later this year. In preparation for that, the automaker has been releasing more video games in its Tesla Arcade, and it has indicated that it might turn it into a business. We've seen indications that Tesla plans to offer paid packages of different video games inside its vehicles, which would start to get into the same business as Valve Steam or the PS Store or the Xbox Live Store. But it looks like Tesla is instead betting on Steam integration. With the unveiling of the new Model S and Model X, Tesla has announced a new gaming computer inside the vehicles. Up to 10 teraflops of processing power enables in-car gaming on par with today's newest consoles via Tesla Arcade. Wireless controller compatibility allows gaming from any seat. Well, that's appropriate, huh? For what we're playing right now. The system is integrated and connects directly to two touchscreens inside the Model S and Model X to play games, watch entertainment, and perform some other functions. CEO Elon Musk also revealed that the new computer has more storage space to be able to handle more games on the platform at the same time. Website video cards compared the specs with existing consoles from the latest generation, showing that it does indeed match up well based on specs available. Tesla is expected to leverage this new hardware to expand its in-car video game experience. All right. Yeah, I mean, I found it really funny. Well, we were reading at the very beginning of the year, there was a lot of hubbub, if you will. People were all um, there was a lot of backlash for Tesla about being able to access their onboard games at all times in the car. And ultimately it was like, okay, yeah, I get it. as a manufacturer of vehicles, which are in and of themselves dangerous if the driver is not paying attention, potentially, right? But what it really boiled down to was that people just need to be responsible, not be distracted by things while they're supposed to be paying attention to driving a vehicle. The fact of the matter is, if the games in the car are disabled and somebody wants to play a game, they'll pull it up on their phone anyway, right? So it's really about just being a responsible human being and paying attention to what you're supposed to be doing rather than texting or you know, playing games or what have you. So it was funny to me they caught so much backlash whenever ultimately it's really something that should be put on the driver of the vehicle themselves. But there you go. We'll get more about this, I am sure. Elden Ring Mod Marathon taking place over the next week. An Elden Ring Mod Marathon or Modathon is taking place over the next week with cash prizes up for grabs in each of the contest categories. Running from July 15th through the 22nd, so 2 days ago it started, a prize pool of $1,000 is available between 3 categories. Modders need to make sure whatever they create fits in a category and that it's made in the 7-day time frame. A YouTube video from Lekev Dev outlines the competition with the event, hoping to spark creativity, learning, and growth for the modding community. 3 mod categories in total. $250 is on offer for most cursed, another $250 for best reskin, and $500 for game changer. Most cursed focuses on nonsensical mechanics and uncanny imagery, with players encouraged to replace in-game enemies and assets to create absurd scenarios like the Thomas the Tank Engine mod that reskins the dragons in Skyrim. Best reskin is all about changing the characters, enemies, and landscapes of Elden Ring to represent another game entirely. Video shows the player skin changed to Geralt from The Witcher 3, and a mod that changes the UI and characters to be those from Persona 5. Last category is Game Changer, which will see modders fundamentally changing Elden Ring via its mechanics and moment-to-moment gameplay. Competitors are advised to limit the scope of their project with the short turnaround time of just a week, meaning there's only so much that can be done. That said, all modders are also told to submit something even if it isn't finished. Those interested in seeing more of the Elden Ring Marathon or taking part should join the relevant Discord. If you're interested, I'll throw this in chat. There you go. Right. I guess. Okay. Soulframe is a new fantasy MMORPG from the Warframe devs. I played Warframe back in the day and I absolutely loved it. Your path awaits, journey onward. This could actually be pretty good. The developer, Digital Extremes, the developer behind free-to-play shooter Warframe, has announced a new fantasy MMORPG called Soulframe. Details are scarce on the upcoming game currently, but Digital Extremes accompanied the announcement with a 5-minute-long cinematic reveal trailer. The trailer showcases some of the Soulframe's fantasy premise. The trailer's main character appears to be imprisoned and then discarded by armor-clad humanoids called Inquisitors before he's revived by a mysterious moose and small bird. Digital Extremes' Jeff Crooks is who will be taking up the role of creative director in Soulframe, and it's stated in a press release that our team is really interested in this idea of nature and humanity colliding, which fits well with the plot of the cinematic trailer. Crooks will watch this after I read all this. Crooks was previously the creative director of Warframe, but will be transitioning to Digital Extremes' newest title, along with several other studio staff. In a letter regarding the change, Crooks explained his rationale for spearheading this new project. Turning that seed of Dark Sector into Warframe has been a life-defining accomplishment for me and the Digital Extremes team. I feel like I can say we did it. And in some ways, I thought it'd be the last thing we'd do as a team. But we want to tell another story. I want to have fantasy and science fiction as a part of Digital Extreme's legacy. I want to spend as much time with Soulframe as I have with Warframe. My beard only has so much black left in it. Soulframe will be free to play upon its release. Steve Sinclair, who acted as Warframe's game director for over a decade, provided additional details on Soulframe in an interview. He shared that while Warframe focuses on fast-paced, ranged combat, Soulframe will be the opposite, with combat being melee-focused with a heavier feel. As for Warframe, popular community figure Rebecca Ford will be taking over as creative director on Digital Extreme's flagship game. In a letter to the community, Ford said it is an honor to take up the mantle of creative director. Let's watch this real quick.
Began as song, pitched sweet and solemn. They that heard came hollow, fallen. Their children raised in castles loft, made hunters grave, of others not.
Remember this. We are a family.
Jeez.
Yet beyond the pale of Odin's sky live verdant fields of rain and wild, where omen beasts of Alka's lost remember still and tell the ghost. So listen well. Envoys of shame. And bear their souls within your frame. Find your spirit, your grace renewed, and return to earth, her power true.
Those helms are sick looking. What's up with this arm, dude? That's what's up with the arm. that Falcor? No. Just a good boy. Is this supposed to be a wolf or a fox? It definitely looks more like a fox, dude.
Join us, won't you?
Like a giant fox. Huh. Yeah. Huh. Cool, man. That's actually pretty intriguing there. Pretty intriguing. Okay. Yeah. So Soulframe again, new fantasy MMORPG from the Warframe devs. Nice. We'll be looking for more from that. Absolutely. Cool. The Steam Deck's funky controls prove that gamepads are outdated. Valve's bold portable games PC shows us what's possible if we leave tradition behind. What makes the Steam Deck the most unique piece of gaming hardware currently available? Might be tempted to suggest its impressive graphical horsepower crammed into such a small form factor, or portable access to Steam, or even the software gymnastics it does to make Windows games play on Linux. That's all cool for sure, but for my money, the deck's killer feature is its rear grip buttons and dual front touchpads, which make it totally unique among gaming devices. These non-standard controls are quickly changing the way I play one genre in particular, first-person shooters. Just being able to so easily enjoy such games on a handheld is certainly worth of praise on its own, but as I've played around mapping shooter controls to different areas of the machine, I've started to realize that the Steam Deck stands uniquely positioned to change the way we interact with shooters. Crunching PC mouse and keyboard control schemes onto gamepads has always required compromises, but Steam Deck's unique array of inputs allows for novel combinations that prioritize movement and aiming while providing new ways of interacting with the game. Consider the rear grips. Anyone with a SCUF or Xbox Elite controller is no stranger to back paddles. While many swear by these things, which clearly offer advantageous control flexibility that isn't otherwise possible, SCUF's patent on rear side control features mean paddles will remain rarely enjoyed novelties until hardware manufacturers figure out a way to standardize their inclusion. Arguably, Valve has done just this with the Steam Deck. Every Steam Deck model, even the cheapest, gives you a set of 4 rear-mounted buttons, which absolutely help with the games that weren't designed with controllers in mind. They also benefit games that are designed for gamepads. While it's been great to play games like Halo without needing to take my thumbs off the analog sticks, firing up Crisis has keyed me into the other benefit of rear buttons, moving past the tyranny of the standard video game controller layout as it's existed virtually unchanged since the late 90s. To be fair, Crisis has been translated well enough to a standard controller experience ever since its 2011 Xbox 360 PS3 port, but the 2008 PC original took PC's expansive array of buttons and keys for granted. Changing between suit functions, picking up objects and swapping attachments, and fire modes all felt much more natural on a mouse and keyboard. The console gamepad controls were full of compromises. Sprinting, for example, automatically engaged the suit in speed mode and thus drained energy. On PC, you used a combination of buttons and mouse movements to switch up suit powers, something that translates well to the Steam Deck's rear grips. Something that controls the classic mode allows you to quickly pull up the selection menu with either bumper, then select the appropriate mode with mapped buttons on the back, leaving your thumbs free to focus on aiming and movement. Such a control scheme retains the advanced functions of the PC original without the need to compromise and cram too many functions into fewer inputs. Another great example of a game where the additional inputs would roll, though in a heartbreaking twist. Steam Deck can't play it at the moment. Comes in Halo Infinite, and it's weapon dropping. Usually that requires holding down Y, but you can map weapon drop to a paddle or keyboard key to drop guns instantly without sacrificing a thumb on your sticks. This instant weapon drop is so disruptive to the competitive meta that EU United's Tyler Spartan Gonzo recently expressed how it unfairly favors those with paddles. If having more functions at your fingertips can modify and perhaps elevate a game, why not consider a function in which paddles come standard on game controllers? Imagine the expanded features and ease of play we're missing out on by sticking with the same decades-old set of inputs every new console generation. The Steam Deck offers a glimpse of such a future. In Crisis, the rear paddles let me instantly execute the strength jump, crouch, and go prone, swap weapons, or change suit functions, all without sacrificing aim or movement. Crisis can get rather tough and hectic, so prioritizing agility while still having quick access to the suit functions is not only very convenient, I think it lives up to the spirit of the game's fantasy of being a soldier with superpowered armor. It's a shame Destiny 2 is not as easily accessible on the deck. It'd benefit greatly, too. The front-facing touchpads are just as revelatory. With the ability to recognize simple directional gestures on top of being clickable, touchpads are my go-to option when sniping. It's kind of a shame Halo, the Master Chief Collection's anti-cheat for multiplayer doesn't play nice with Steam Deck, as dropping to the touchpad under the right analog stick for some quick precision sniping offers a wild new level of control. I'd love to try it out against other players. For now, only the Covenant, Flood, and Prometheans of the campaigns will have to cower in fear of my newly deadly snipes. The Steam Deck control experience isn't perfect. Halo, the Master Chief Collection in particular, doesn't want you using a keyboard, mouse, and controller at the same time, so you're still limited sometimes in how much you can rearrange bindings. But even just having a secondary form of analog input to control fine aiming or zoom level makes the game feel a bit more complex and nuanced. I'd love to see what a developer could do if it natively factored Steam Deck's expanded inputs into a game's design. First-person shooter controls have been long stuck in the mud. The genre has rotated around the same handful of control schemes for decades now. Steam Deck offers a potent demonstration of how new input styles and button arrangements can offer legitimately better ways of interacting with even these very standard types of games. There's a lot to build on here, but first, hardware makers have to choose to make such innovations possible by moving beyond today's antiquated gamepad conventions and actually trying something new. Yep. Another thing that is very appropriate is that developers have to incorporate your ability to change keybinds on controller. Witcher 3. The first thing I noticed about Witcher 3, I don't usually play games on controller. But The Witcher 3 gives you the ability to change keybinds on keyboard and mouse and doesn't give you the ability to change keybinds on controller. Why? That doesn't make any sense. Sega's new Mini Mega Drive gets some great game additions and cool curiosities. No word yet on which will come to the Genesis Mini 2. Days after Sega announced that its Mega Drive Mini 2 retro console is headed to North America, where it will be known as the Sega Genesis Mini 2, the company confirmed a batch of new games that will be packed into the Japanese version of the device. That includes new Sega CD titles like Capcom's Final Fight CD and Game Art's Lunar the Silver Star and Lunar Eternal Battle. Also includes a few curiosities like the Japan-only arcade game Sanrin Sanchan, aka Mr. Tricycle, aka Spatter, that will make its console debut. Sega also confirmed a handful of fighting games for the 16-bit console: Capcom's Super Street Fighter 2, SNK's Fatal Fury 2, and Sega's own sumo game, Haramanada, based on the manga of the same name, and the title that seems highly unlikely to come to the Genesis Mini 2. Sorry, sumo fans. Treasure's Alien Soldier was likewise confirmed for the Mega Drive Mini 2. It was already announced for the Genesis Mini 2, as was Teoplan's Tatsujin, the vertically scrolling shoot-'em-up known as Truxton in the West. Mini 2 owners will also get access to the Japan-only Wonder Mega Collection, a variety pack of 4 games and 4 karaoke songs for the Sega CD, which is also unlikely to head west. The Mega Drive Mini 2 also gets Gambler Jiko Shinha Katayama Masayuki's Mahjong Dojo, a game arts game that also seems unlikely to carry over to the Genesis Mini 2, due to the fact that few people outside of Japan read manga based on Mahjong or play retro games based on that manga. The new additions could be read as positive news for the Mini 2's lineup, given the new inclusions of Capcom, SNK, and Game Arts games. The Mini 2's current game library comprises mostly Sega-published games, with the exception of Splatterhouse 2 and Rolling Thunder 2, and Night Striker, Rainbow Islands Extra, and the Ninja Warriors. Yeah, the Sega will release the Mini 2 and Genesis Mini 2 on the same day, October 27th. The Genesis Mini 2 is available for purchase exclusively from Amazon, where it is priced at $103.80. Shipping from Japan costs $22, putting the total cost at an import of the mini console at just over $125, not including tax. There you go. CD Projekt stock is worth a quarter of what it was before Cyberpunk 2077 released. Sorry, guys. The botched launch has financially humbled the former biggest games company in Europe. I'm going to read this, and I'm going to give you my impression of what's going on here and what I hope to see moving forward. A new report from Business Insider Poland paints a grim picture for CD Projekt. The company's value has cratered by over 75% since just before the launch of Cyberpunk. A business that once boasted a market capitalization of over 40 billion Polish, briefly became the most valuable games company in Europe, is now worth less than 10 billion zloty. In the weeks leading up to Cyberpunk's launch, CDP shares were trading at around $400 each zloty, hitting $443 a share. 443 zloty a share, only 6 days before the game's release. Stories since then has been one of the sharp falls and brief plateaus, with CD Projekt Red shares and market cap halving in value in the first few months of 2021, then almost halving again since the end of March this year. Yo, Miso, what's up, buddy? It's good to see you, dude. You lurk away, dude. In simpler terms, this basically means that the reception of Cyberpunk and CDP's subsequent firefighting of the problems has shorn off 5 years of the company's overall value. This is despite Cyberpunk 2077 selling almost 14 million copies in 2020 alone. Ever since launch, the developer has been largely focused on fixing problems with the game, mainly on console, it has to be said. And the multiplayer mode that was once promised is now not happening. Perhaps the most humiliating moment, perception-wise, was that Sony removed the game from the PlayStation Store, even though it has now returned. Company's post-Cyberpunk plummet has left its market cap trending at around a level equivalent to its value in 2017. While it's probably to be expected that a game company's value would drop a bit after their much-hyped game finally released, the dizzying scale of CDP's fall can hardly be interpreted as anything but a result of Cyberpunk's mismanagement. Perhaps more galling for CDP is the possibility that they are no longer Poland's biggest game studio. Business Insider Poland draws on some maths done by Pol's Biznesu, a Polish business daily, to suggest that Techland might now be Poland's biggest game company by market cap. The numbers on this one are pretty fuzzy, though. Techland aren't listed on a stock exchange, so Pol's Biznesu had to guess at what their share price would be to arrive at its final estimate of a market cap of around 10.6 billion. What was the zloty? It's not the end of the world for CDP. The company still sits comfortably in the WIG 20 index of the 20 biggest companies on the Warsaw Stock Exchange. In 2017, CDP was still in the afterglow of The Witcher 3's release and had only released its last DLC a year prior. returning to a 2017 era market cap then doesn't mean CDP is on the verge of shutting up shop, but it does show that what's happened with Cyberpunk has hurt the studio. No wonder that all of a sudden it's talking about a new Witcher game. Yeah. This is what I'll say here. We are playing Witcher 3 right now. I haven't played Cyberpunk, but I saw the fallout from what Cyberpunk was at release, which is why I didn't play it. I saw what an absolute terror and crap show it was when that game released. So, now going back and playing The Witcher 3. Yo, gamer, what's up, buddy? How are you? Happy Sunday, dude. It's what we talk about quite often is we always want to see a studio improve upon its previous iterations of whatever games it's made, right? And I've knocked on From Software recently, even though Elden Ring had some great content in it. There was a lot of things that they overlooked for, as far as I'm concerned, quality of life wise. Their PC port was terrible. Then you've got a studio like CDPR or CDP, and Witcher 2 was a lot of fun. It's been so long since I played Witcher 2, I can't really recall the pros and cons I had of that game. But going back and playing Witcher 3 now, I can tell you I'm enjoying the game very much. There's a lot of good stuff, but there's a lot of wonkiness to it as well. There are a lot of bugs in the game. There's a lot it doesn't feel very polished really. The horse riding feels just brutal. It does not feel responsive. It feels sluggish. There's overall the game feels very good and I'm having a good time with it, but there's things about the game that felt like it might have been a bit rushed in and of itself. And then you see what they did with a game like Cyberpunk and you go, oh wow. Instead of taking I think a critical look at maybe what they should have done better with Witcher 3, it seems like they took a look at what they got away with in Witcher 3 and saw what maybe they could have gotten away with even more on Cyberpunk. And it big time bit them in the ass, That's just the way it seems to me, impression wise. And what I would hope is that they take a step back, they reassess, they go, we've got to get back to our roots of trying to make good, polished titles to the best of our ability. I think nobody ever expects a game to come out flawless. I never expect a game to be a perfect 10. I would never ever. I've never played a game that I would rate a perfect 10, but I do expect the studio to be improving, not degrading on the quality of their games. And so at this point, I'm really, really hoping that what Cyberpunk was for CDP was a really tough lessons learned situation for them, and that The Witcher 4 comes out and is amazing. I hope. If it is not, if it comes out and is another crap show, I think CDP is done. I think they're done. Downloading Warframe on my laptop. Used to play it on PS4. Heard about a game. Yep. Yeah, we read about Soulframe this morning. Gamer. Yep. Uh-huh. We read about it. We watched the trailer for it this morning. Yep. I played Warframe. Dude. Back in like 2014, 2015 time frame. I played a good amount of Warframe. I don't know, Timwin. I don't know if we're gonna do Gwent today or Fall Guys. I'm not sure. I'm kind of leaning towards just going an entire Gwent weekend next weekend, and maybe just doing some Fall Guys today because I've kind of put off. I played a lot of Witcher 3 over the past few weekends, and I might step out of the Witcher universe for a day today and just do something a bit different. Yeah, love pushing it forwards. What do you mean? What do you mean? Pushing the games forwards? Well, uh, because standalone Gwent is like this entire other game that we can dive into, and I don't know that I just want to take like half a day today to start playing it. I feel like I want to take like the entire next weekend to really dive into the standalone Gwent rather than just like half a day of today. You know what I mean? Uh, it feels like it would work better that way to me, kind of. Is that what you mean? Pushing it forwards like that? What's up, Timwin? How are you, buddy? But yeah, gamer, Warframe was amazing, dude. I haven't played it for years, but everything that I played with Warframe, and it's evolved extremely. It's evolved to a great extent since I played it. But I loved Warframe, and Soulframe looks really cool. I mean, all we've seen is cinematic so far. We watched the cinematic this morning, but I have high hopes, dude, because I liked Warframe a lot, and I have high hopes for what is coming from. Now, the big question, right, is they've already announced that this is a MMORPG that will be free to play, and let's just hope that it's done in a good way, right? Which I mean, Warframe's same thing, right? So, and they did it. They did Warframe's amazing. I love it, and so I would assume that they're going to be implementing it in the same fashion, developing it in the same fashion, and so I'm very much looking forward to it, and we'll keep tabs on it. You're good, good, Timwin. I'm glad you love pushing it forwards. You're talking about the standalone Gwent stuff. Sorry, man. I just don't. I don't know that it makes much sense to me to play just like a half a day of standalone Gwent today. I'd rather just take an entire weekend to dive into it, man. I think that's where I'm at with it. So I don't know. What is? Oh, we'll see. We'll see. I still haven't totally made up my mind yet, but um, I've been so wrapped up in The Witcher 3, man, that I haven't been doing what we normally do, which is play like community games on the weekends. I've been playing Witcher 3 on the weekends because I've been loving it so much, and I don't know. We'll see. I've been saying I was going to play Fall Guys for a long time too, dude. So I've been pushing that forward as well. I've been pushing that forward. Well, right, yeah. I mean, I know. Yeah. Um, I think one of my things is I probably won't go as long today as I usually do. I've got some family stuff to do today. Weekends aren't always 8 or 9 hour streams. You know what I mean? So a half a day today also isn't going to be like a half a day on a weekday stream as well. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I mean, talking about pushing it forward, I've been pushing Fall Guys forward for about over a month now too, around a month. I've been telling people we would play some Fall Guys too, and I haven't done it yet. So yeah, I mean, I've been. It's not a matter of loving to push stuff forward. It's just being wrapped up in playing other stuff, dude. I don't know. It's not on purpose. It's not on purpose. Oh man, we'll see. We'll see where we get. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Again, I mean, the hope is that CDP gets back to where, uh, especially because they've already told us they're working on Witcher 4, right? and that's what I'm really expecting from them next is Witcher 4, and I think this is going to be the test for them right now. Is like, can they rebound? Can they get back to their roots and start creating good games again? You know what I mean? Um, can they bring themselves back into the good graces of the gaming community? Because Cyberpunk, definitely Cyberpunk's release and the state of Cyberpunk, uh, put them in a bad light as far as a lot of their fans and consumers in the gaming industry are concerned, and it shows through what their stock has done. Absolutely. So we'll see. We'll see. Updated Steam feature makes it easier to find new games. Steam has a feature that's around 8 years old now called the Steam Discovery Queue. And have you guys ever used this? I've used it occasionally. And even if you don't know it by name, you've most likely used it at least once or twice when looking for something new to play. It's a feature which has led to a combined total of 18 billion game store pages. Valve said in its latest discussion about the Steam Discovery Queue, and this week it's been updated to make the process of finding a new game even easier. The updated Steam Discovery Queue was addressed in the latest Steam Labs post on the platform's site, with Valve outlining a couple of key ways that the Steam Discovery Queue is changing. This new version of the feature is being launched within Steam Labs to garner feedback from users as how it looks and feels compared to the old version. You can easily see it for yourself without any fuss by logging in here and selecting the new Discovery Queue. Prompt to view it without having to open up Steam proper. When pulling up the new Steam Discovery Queue, it'll show games you might like based on what some of your friends are playing, as well as the other titles and genre you may have shown interest in. You can head to the store page or wish list it right then, and perhaps best of all, the new version of the Steam Discovery Queue can be accessed without leaving whatever page you're on at the time. Valve highlighted that change and more in a rundown of what's new about the feature. They launched to the queue without leaving the page you were on. Simplified presentation of key details about each game to give you a taste of what the game is about. See why each game is being recommended specifically to you. Maybe it's because you have friends who play it, or it's similar to other games you play, for example. Add a game to your wish list with the click of a button, or view the game's full store page for a more in-depth view. Ignore games that just aren't your jam. We'll make sure to hide them in the future. Yeah, I think that's one of the things I noticed previously about the queue was that quite often I would just have games pop up that weren't necessarily had quite often games that had no pertinence to me at all. Like were just nowhere close to anything that I was interested in. And I think it was Pinky was telling me here recently he had actually had some games show up that he was like really surprised, like because he would go through his queue occasionally, and he was like, man, they're actually like showing me games that are interesting to me now, whereas used to that it like never happened, right? Microsoft's Activision acquisition approval may hit major milestones soon. Microsoft's Activision acquisition may be getting one step closer to reality very soon. Earlier this year, yeah, we know it was earth-shattering news. Basically, Microsoft paying roughly $70 billion for Activision Blizzard. It was earth-shattering news in the gaming industry, as it is the largest acquisition in the history of gaming and would give Microsoft ownership over Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, and a ton of other franchises. Yeah. The deal was met with scrutiny, and although a lot of people are optimistic about the deal, politicians and other powerful figures have expressed concern over Microsoft swallowing up giant gaming companies left and right. Some have suggested the deal won't go through, but Warren Buffett's company Berkshire Hathaway is betting big on the deal. With that said, the acquisition is nearing a major milestone soon. According to a new report from Deal Seeker, Microsoft has responded to the FTC's second request for documentation and information in the Activision deal, as pointed out by Real Me Central. If the FTC does not request any additional information in the next 30 days, the deal will be automatically approved by the U.S. government agency. This doesn't mean that Xbox will automatically gain complete ownership over the company though, as UK regulators still have to do their due diligence as well. Nevertheless, the FTC is a major player when it comes to these kinds of acquisitions, and it bodes well for the future of this deal if they approve it. With that said, all of this is speculation, and it's just using the rules at hand to make a potential timeline. Microsoft and Activision have previously stated that they expect the deal to close by summer of 2023 if everything goes right. It could happen far sooner than that if the FTC and others begin to give their approval. Only time will tell how things will turn out, but these agencies are bound to make sure they get everything they need for a deal of this scale, which could take longer than expected. Okay. Well, we'll see. Gamers lose round with Sony over PlayStation Store monopoly. So a class of gamers failed to persuade a federal judge of their theory that Sony intentionally sacrificed. There, that'll work. Short-term revenue when it stopped allowing other retailers to sell its digital PlayStation games in order to become the sole supplier of digital games through its online store. Quote, plaintiffs provide conclusory statements that Sony voluntarily terminated a profitable practice, but do not provide sufficient factual details. Chief U.S. District Judge Richard Seaborg wrote in a brief order dismissing the case on Friday. Until April 2019, gamers could buy download codes for digital PlayStation games from a number of places, including Best Buy, Walmart, and Amazon. Then Sony decided to cut out the middleman and establish itself as the only marketplace where video game publishers could sell digital copies of PlayStation games. Class of gamers claims Sony gave up a profitable, long-standing relationship in order to establish a monopoly over its games in a classic case of refusal to deal. Seaborg found their allegations scant on detail, writing, from the complaint, it is unclear how Sony generated a revenue stream from the sale of download codes by third-party retailers. Although it seems almost certain that Sony gained some revenue through download codes, a plaintiff need not at this stage prove that the practice was profitable. Plaintiffs must, at a minimum, describe the process through which Sony earned money from the practice. Court cannot assume the practice was profitable when plaintiffs have failed to plead how Sony received any money through the practice. Seaborg said Sony suddenly disallowing brick-and-mortar stores to stop selling download codes sounds similar to the situation in Aspen Skiing Co. versus Aspen Highland Skiing Corp., where a ski resort refused to sell lift passes to a smaller rival who was selling directly to customers. In that case, the U.S. Supreme Court found the ski resort's conduct to be anti-competitive, but Seaborg said it is difficult to he said it's difficult to and without knowing how Sony earned money from its download code sales to other stores. Difficult to analyze. Analogize the two cases. She said it's difficult to analyze the two cases without knowing how Sony earned money from its download code sales to other stores. Okay. In short, plaintiffs have failed to plead anti-competitive conduct necessary for their Sherman Act claims. He wrote in dismissing the case with leave to amend. So, I wonder why they did do this then. I mean, obviously it had to be a business move for them, right? What I'm wondering is, basically, Seaborg is saying that you can't compare the two cases without knowing how Sony earned money from its download code sales to the other stores. So Keyboard said difficult to analogize the two cases. I'm guessing maybe what was happening was codes were being generated somehow. I don't know. Maybe like these third-party retailers were getting these codes not straight from Sony or something like that. Maybe that was the play, and that's why Sony decided not to do it anymore. In short, plaintiffs have failed to plead anti-competitive conduct necessary for their Sherman Act claims. He wrote in dismissing the case with leave to amend. Still, the gamers were unable to convince him that at a minimum they were subjected to paying higher prices for games purchased through Sony's PlayStation Store than from other retailers, which is enough to show that Sony's policy had an anti-competitive effect. Well, quote, plaintiffs plead that numerous games are more expensive in digital versions than in physical versions, despite additional costs present for physical versions like the production of the materials and shipping, Seaborg wrote. Although, as defendant points out, there may be other reasons for the increased prices, and physical versions of the game may not be appropriate benchmarks. Plaintiffs have at this stage pled increased prices. He also found the gamers presented a viable theory that Sony's conduct restricted the single brand aftermarket for digital copies of video games, since a PlayStation user looking for a lower price on a digital game would have to buy an entirely different console. How does that work, though? I mean, I guess since it is Sony's platform, like they can do that? I guess that's how that works, right? It doesn't necessarily matter who owns the rights to the game necessarily that's being purchased, because ultimately Sony owns the platform for which the game is being played on. Yeah? So Sony can go, nobody can sell these codes anymore but us, meaning they can set the price for what the games actually cost, as opposed to like these third-party retailers being able to work a price with the developers of the game, the owners of the game copyrights, and then set the prices themselves for. I guess that's how that would work, right? I guess that's where I was not quite understanding initially. I'm guessing that's how that works. And now that Sony has said that they're the only ones that can sell these, Sony sets all the prices of what the games cost. That does seem anti-competitive, actually. If that's the case, if that's how that actually works, that entire business process there, if that's how that works, that does make PlayStation seem very anti-competitive. But this doesn't necessarily go into depth about how that entire business process works. I guess that's what I was trying to figure out there. Xbox Exec teases new Xbox Series X exclusives. It sounds like there are a bunch of new Xbox Series XS exclusives in the works we don't even know about. Just saying, guys. As of right now, we know that the next 12 months of Xbox look like thanks to the recent Xbox Summer Showcase. That will include a new Forza game, Starfield, Redfall, and a number of other games, meaning we have a pretty solid lineup of games until next summer. I don't know that I would consider these solid. I mean, we'll see. We have a larger picture of the next few years as well with Fable. Oh, dude, let's go. Elder Scrolls 6, everything just works. And tons of already announced games that have gone quiet since being announced. There are even more games on the way. On Twitter, Xbox Games Marketing GM Aaron Greenberg reposted a picture of all the Xbox exclusives past, present, and future, and noted how impressive the list already was, despite the fact there are a lot of games not here because they haven't been announced. As of right now, Microsoft is sitting on a number of big franchises that haven't had new games in years, such as Banjo-Kazooie, Gears of War, and more. Even the heavily rumored GoldenEye 007 remaster hasn't been announced yet, but it is expected to be ready to release at any given moment. With Microsoft buying up studios left and right, swallowing up major franchises like Doom, The Evil Within, and Fallout, yeah, it's safe to say there are probably a lot of major games in the works that we won't know about for at least a couple of years. Xbox's first-party roadmap. Thanks for creating this at Clubril. Love your work. Impressive list to see, especially knowing there is a lot more in the works that is not on here. Avowed win, though. Avowed win. Xbox appears to be trying to keep things close to the chest till the game is closer to release. Given it has been over 2 years since Fable and some other titles were announced and we have no updates, it's likely Xbox wants to create shorter marketing windows in order to manage expectations and avoid disappointing people by making them wait too long. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The thing that's rough, though, is going like giving you something initially and then not seeing anything else for years. You know what I mean? Like anything else for years. And everybody's just going, win, dude. Win. Anything, win. You know what I mean? Like, just let us know that you're still doing something with it, you know? I don't know. PlayStation Plus leak reveals the next big PS1 game. A new PS Plus leak has seemingly revealed the next big PS1 game coming to PS Plus Premium. As of last month, PS Plus is now divided into 3 different tiers. There's PS Plus Essential. Yeah, we know all this, dude. It looks like the next big PS1 game coming to PS Plus Premium is from Capcom, who has been an early supporter and partner of the PS Plus revamp. Between Monster Hunter, Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, and other series, Capcom has seen a huge revival lately. This revival has been on the back of classic and nostalgic IP like the aforementioned series. Much of this IP can trace its heritage back to the early days of gaming like the PS1. One Capcom series got its start on the PS1 was Dino Crisis, dude. Wow. And unlike many of Capcom's IP, it's been dormant and not brought forward to modernity. There's no word of this changing, but it looks like it's at least going to be able to be relived through PS Plus. Earlier this week, Sony announced the new games being added to PS Plus Extra and PS Plus Premium. Briefly, it listed Dino Crisis, Soul Calibur Broken Destiny, and Ridge Racer 2. The kicker was these games were only listed for Italian subscribers. The idea these games would only be added to the subscription service in Italy is unlikely. What's more likely is this was a preview of what's to come. Whatever the case, mention of the games was quickly removed with no comment, further suggesting there's something to the mistake. For those that don't know, Dino Crisis is a survival horror game that spawned a series of the same name. Released first in 1999, it garnered an 84 on Metacritic and largely sold well. Developed and published by Capcom, it was notable because it was created by Shinji Mikami, who was coming hot off Resident Evil, another series he created. Meanwhile, Soul Calibur Broken Destiny, a fitting game, hit in 2009 via PSP and courtesy of developer Project Soul and publisher Bandai Namco. It hit an 80 on Metacritic at release. Lastly, there's Ridge Racer 2 from 2006, another PSP game from Bandai Namco, garnered a 70 on Metacritic. Cool, man. Dino Crisis. Wow, I haven't thought about that game in a long time. That's wild. PlayStation exclusive wins first 2022 Game of the Year award. The first Game of the Year award has been given out for 2022, and it's been awarded to a PlayStation exclusive only available on PS4 and PS5, at least right now. So far, 2022 has been far from the greatest year in terms of video game releases. In fact, if you remove a few games from the equation, it's been a very disappointing year. A variety of reasons for this is that that are neither here nor there. What's more relevant is that come the end of the year, come the Game Awards, Elden Ring will win, unless God of War Ragnarok can replicate the success and critical acclaim of the first game. I said even at my playthrough of Elden Ring, I enjoyed God of War much more than Elden Ring. That's just me, though. So if God of War Ragnarok even comes close to what the previous God of War brought to the table, I'm going to be very excited. That's how little the competition is at the top. That said, the latter isn't out, and the former actually didn't win the first 2022 Game of the Year award. Horizon Forbidden West has. That's what I figured. Yeah. Released by Guerrilla Games on February 18, 2022 as a sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, the game garnered an 83 and 88 on Metacritic, with the PS4 version earning the former and the PS5 earning the higher score. As you may know, the game's predecessor managed to do a bit better critically, and it seems unlikely the sequel is going to match it commercially either. That doesn't make the game a disappointment, though. Far from it. In fact, it's officially the developer Star Awards 2022 Best Game. Of course, taking some of the wind out of the sails here is the fact that 2022 is only halfway over. If these rewards, rewards or awards, I think it's supposed to be awards. If these awards happened in December, maybe it wouldn't win. Not only did it win Best Game, though, but Best Narrative, Best Audio, and Best Game Design as well. Also worth noting, these awards are European-centric. Okay. Horizon Forbidden West, by most counts, is another strong release for Guerrilla Games and PlayStation, reads the opening of our review of the game. This is very much a sequel that just looks to go bigger and better than its predecessor, and in that regard, it very much achieves what it sets out to accomplish. Although I wanted more from the story and the game's general structure, it's very much the same when compared to Zero Dawn. Fans who loved the last title should still love the adventure that this follow-up takes you on. Cool. Yeah, I figured that's what this award was going to be too. Forbidden West, yep. Europe. New Nintendo Switch game may be its most not safe for work yet. A new Nintendo Switch Lite, and OLED game coming to the Switch Nintendo eShop may be the console's most not safe for work game yet. There was a time when Nintendo was very strict with what it allowed to release on its various hardware, largely to ensure it maintained its family-friendly image with consumers. For whatever reason, it's taken the complete opposite approach with the Nintendo Switch. In fact, it's become so loose with what can be released on the Nintendo eShop that games have been censored or banned from other platforms have released on the console unscathed. And this brings us to today. On August 4th, priced at $27.99 US, a game called Massage Freaks what? Will release from developer Curate. According to an official description from the developer, it's a rhythm game where you massage cuties. Oh my god, dude. The thirst out there, dude. Is unreal. If that quick descriptor sounds like it's for a lewd game, it's because it is. A rhythm game where you massage cuties. Play the rhythm game to work out the kinks in these beauties' bodies. Reads an official description of the game. This new take on rhythm games has you massage beautiful women in time to the music. The patrons of your massage parlor have not only sore bodies, but unique worries weighing on their hearts as well. Use your secret massage technique to clear all the stress out of their minds and bodies. Good night, dude. If you want to see more of the game, you can do so via its official website. That said, and be warned, the image above is very tame compared to some of the images you will see on the game's website. As you would expect, the game's imminent Switch release has turned a few heads and raised a few questions, but so far Nintendo hasn't said a peep about the matter. If this changes, we'll be sure to update the story accordingly. In the meantime, for more Nintendo coverage, click here. I don't know, dude. If you're interested, here, dude. What? Oh, man. So many thirsty people, dude. Power Wash Simulator devs warn Xbox players, do not look at the sun. Studio behind the game, which recently hit Xbox Game Pass, says a patch is coming very soon. Interested! Oh, dude. You're wild, bro. What's up, dude? You riding that lawnmower to work today? The photo they use, the photo that Kotaku uses for this this article. It's so good. Video games are hard to make. These weird, complex pieces of intricate interactive software take years to make and sometimes break in very weird ways. For example, players of Power Wash Simulator on Xbox noticed the game started crashing a lot when they'd hop online with others. And while a patch is coming to fix this nasty bug, the temporary solution from the developers at Future Lab is a bit silly. According to them, To stop the crashes, all Xbox players need to do is avoid looking at the sun. Power Wash Simulator is a very good relaxing game about, well, using a power washer to clean stuff. You should have guessed that from the name. It's been out for a bit on PC via Steam Early Access, but only saw a full release yesterday when it also made the leap to consoles via Xbox Game Pass. But there's an issue where the game crashes when players try to clean the world together. What could it be? Perhaps the servers aren't working. Maybe the game's netcode is broken, or maybe it's even an issue with the way the game handles data over a network connection. Nope. According to Power Wash Simulator's official Twitter account, the real culprit behind all the crashing on Xbox is the game's use of lens flares, which appear when you look up at the digital sun. As I said, video games are weird and complex things. Even sillier and weirder is the dev's solution for the issue. Just stop looking at the sun so much, you weirdos. Future Lab admitted this isn't a great workaround and apologized to players for any inconvenience the bug has caused. The devs say the issue with the lens flares was caught at the last second, presumably before the game shipped. Luckily, in a follow-up tweet from earlier today, the devs confirmed a hotfix for this solar hiccup is in the works. It's due sometime next week. Kotaku has reached out to Future Lab about the situation and received this statement. We know what it is. We are working as fast as we can to get it to players and have a fix that we hope will get out by the end of the next week. In the meantime, thankfully, you can still play Power Wash Simulator solo to enjoy its relaxing cleaning simulation in perfect harmony with that fiery orb in the sky. Wild. Wild. PS Plus Extra is losing a game on July 19th. This is something that we hadn't, we'd kind of discussed previously, was like, we hadn't really seen anything about what kinds of games were going to be. I mean, I think it was fairly safe to assume that we would see the same kind of stuff happening with the new PS Plus subscriptions that we see with Xbox Game Pass, right? Where new games come on each month, old games come off, you know what I mean? But it's just so new, we hadn't seen anything about it, right? But here we go. The PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium tiers are set to lose a game in the very near future, so fans should check it out while they still can. Sony's revamped PS Plus subscription service offers undeniable value, giving gamers access to hundreds of modern and retro games for a relatively low monthly fee. 3 tiers, we know. It's rare for a game to leave the PS Plus Extra lineup compared to its competitors, but it's not unheard of. Earlier this month, Shadow Warrior 3 left PS Plus Extra, which was significant as it was the first PlayStation Now Day 1 game. And now another game is being removed from the PS Plus Extra lineup in the very near future. Anyone interested in checking it out should do so while they still can. Come July 19th, PS Plus Extra subscribers will no longer have access to Siberia. Siberia is a classic adventure game created by Benoit Sokal that is part of a long-running series of similar narrative-driven titles. The version of Siberia that is scheduled to leave PS Plus Extra on July 19th is the PlayStation 3 re-release of the game, which originally released in 2014, a whopping 12 years after its original release. Siberia won't be the last game to be removed from the PS Plus Extra. In August, 2 more games are set to be removed from the lineup, with both titles getting the boot on August 31st. August 31st. I can't speak. NBA 2K22 and WRC 10 are the PS Plus Extra games being removed on August 30th. So fans of racing and sports games may want to check them out while they are still available to play through PS Plus Extra. On September 20th, PS Plus Extra is losing one of the most notable games currently available to play on the service, as that's the day RDR2 is removed. Wow. Yeah, that's going to be a potentially big blow to the PS Plus Extra library. Still plenty of other noteworthy games available to play, but few are able to stand toe-to-toe with RDR2. Finally, October 17th, we'll see the removal of the original RDR, as well as its standalone expansion, RDR Undead Nightmare. It's unfortunate to see these games removed from PS Plus Extra, but the good news is that subscribers have plenty of advanced notice to prepare. Yeah, what's going to take their place, though? That's what we need to know. What is going to take their place? Yep. All right. Last article I have for the morning. If you have anything that you might have to add, chat, let me know, and I will we'll touch on it, see if we've already hit on it, and maybe address it before we move on to some gaming. Cool. UK government demands games industry does more to fight loot boxes. Yep. The UK government has warned the video game industry that it needs to crack down on how it treats the loot boxes, or it'll be met with legislation tightening up the issue. The Department for Digital Culture, Media, and Sports has found a link between problem gambling and loot boxes in games. It has called for game companies to step and improve protections for children in a new press release. These findings follow a call for evidence on the impact of loot boxes by the UK government back in 2020. With this release now calling for in-game purchases to be made unavailable to children unless approved by a parent or guardian. More specifically, Xbox's parental controls were mentioned, with the government wanting to build on protections like this. Otherwise, legislation will be considered. Quote, "We want to stop children going on spending sprees online without parental consent, spurred on by in-game purchases like loot boxes," said Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries. Quote, "Game companies and platforms need to do more to ensure that controls and age restrictions are applied so that players are protected from the risk of gambling harms. Children should be free to enjoy gaming safely, whilst giving parents and guardians the peace of mind they need." To combat the problem of loot boxes, DCMS is putting together a working group that'll bring together game developers and publishers, regulatory bodies, and platforms to create measures to protect players. The previous call for evidence found a need for more research, so the UK government says it will launch the video games research framework in response. As a responsible industry, we have committed to exploring additional ways to support players and parents to build on our existing work, developing and raising awareness of parental controls, said UK CEO Dr. Joe Twist, OBE. What a name, dude. Dr. Joe Twist? What a name. I love it. We look forward to engaging closely with the government and other organizations in the working group and on the video game research framework. Boom. Yeah, there's we're seeing a lot of this, especially over in Europe. There are a lot of countries that are kind of banding together and taking a stance against the exploitation that so many of these kind of pay to win mechanics have that are being incorporated into games, loot boxes, things like that. You saw Diablo Immortal before it even released was banned in like the Netherlands and Belgium, I think it was, and Spain is really stepping up and taking a stance against these kinds of mechanics in games, and UK, and it's a big concern. It's a big concern. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I think the way most people look at it is, it needs to be regulated more to where impressionable young individuals aren't able to just go nuts with it. You know what I mean? Be a bit more, have a bit more maturity under your belt before you make the decision of how you're just gonna blow an entire bank account on loot boxes and stuff. I think that's where a lot of it lies. They're not trying to tell people necessarily how they can spend their money or anything. They're just trying to keep younger audiences from being sucked into these mechanics, I think, is the main thing, and appropriately so, as far as I'm concerned. I think that's what we've got for today, news-wise. That's what we've got. Thanks for being here, being a part of this. Good news segment. Wildly enough, it was kind of bleak yesterday for news, and then more news today. It's kind of backwards for the way it usually works out. Usually there's more news on Saturday and less news on Sunday, but that's the way it rolled out this weekend, I guess. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of this community and part of the news segment today. If you're viewing this on YouTube as a VOD and you're enjoying the content, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button, and maybe leave me a comment so we can have a bit of a discussion regarding some of these topics, okay? Also, see what you can do about coming and hanging out with us, where we start off every single stream at 6 a.m. CST with video gaming news before we hop into our gameplay for the day, all right? Other than that, just stay healthy, stay safe, and be kind to one another. And we'll catch everybody tomorrow for July 18th edition of Video Gaming News, all right?